This is the long-awaited Sony PMW-F3. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this camera, what makes it so great, some of its advantages, as well as some of its limitations. Now first off, let's take a look at the front end. The camera comes with what's called the Sony F-mount, which you'll be able to mount an array of Sony lenses, as well as a Sony zoom lens, which isn't available yet, and various types of mounts. Today, we have the PL mount on the camera. Now the PL mount is much stronger than the Nikon and the EOS mount. It allows you to focus pull without getting any flex. It also allows you to mount much higher quality lenses onto the camera. Now behind the mount is a Super 35 equivalent single chip CMOS sensor. Now this is the same size as the 7D, the red one, the Arri Alexa, and it's also the same size as celluloid film camera frame. Now this larger sensor size allows you to mount longer lenses. These longer lenses allow you to get a much shallower depth of field than your average broadcast camera, such as the Sony HDW790, the EX1 or the Canon XF305. This shallower depth of field creates a much better photographic aesthetic. This chip size, however, is only about half the size of the one in the 5D, but we found in tests that the F3's chip and supporting electronics has a much higher contrast latitude, which means you get more information in the highlights and the lowlights, as well as being able to depict much more intricate details. One major advantage the F3 has over the 5D are the dual XLR inputs, which allow you to record sync sound in camera conveniently and easily. The camera also comes with a stereo top mic as standard and has audio monitoring. The 5D only has a mini jack audio input, so you need an adapter to plug in XLR microphones and has no audio monitoring. All of which makes the F3 much better at recording audio than the 5D. Now let's take a look at the internal recording. The F3 has all the system settings you'd come to expect from a broadcast camera, such as 50i and 25p in a number of different resolutions. It also has NTSC settings. But a really great feature of this camera are the variable frame rate recording, which allow you to record slow and fast motion in camera. This is captured using XDCam MPEG-2 long op with a maximum variable bitrate of 35 megabits per second onto S/S cards. The XDCam codec has a really convenient and well-established tapeless workflow, and with a 32 gig card able to record 111 minutes of footage, and with the camera having two hot-swappable card slots, you can potentially record infinitely. So this is quite a good recording system to work with. However, with the codec only being about 35 megabits a second and colour sampling of 420, it's not much better than the 5D's H.264 and won't be accepted by most broadcasters. But that's not quite the end of the story. The camera has a HD SDI output, which is able to output uncompressed 422, which can then be recorded using a Nano Flash or an Aegis Pro at a much higher bitrate. It also has a dual-link SDI, which outputs uncompressed 444, which can then be recorded using a Cinedec or SR recordable media, which will be out later this year. However, this output at the moment only works in 50i mode, but we've been told that this is going to be fixed by a firmware update soon. On another note, only one HD output can be switched at one time, which means if you're using the HD SDI output to record, then you're going to have to loop through your recorder if you want any external monitors. This is better than the 5D, because at least plugging in the HD SDI doesn't disable any onboard monitoring. And you can have more than one output if you turn the outputs into SD mode, one composite and one SDI. Finally, if I was to sum up the F3, I would say think of it as a significant update to the EX3 rather than a camera to fix all the problems of the 5D. It fixes most of them, but maybe not as well as you might like. But you should be able to let these little flaws go when you look at some of the images this camera can create. This camera is available for hire now and will be available with an array of rigs and lens sets. Call our hire team for more details on 0845 460 9988 and see if the Sony PMW-F3 can add something to your production.